Your body has a pharmacy built into it. It can boost your immune system, manufacture its own antidepressants, flood your bloodstream with antioxidants, and reset your nervous system from the ground up. It just needs the right environment to switch all of that on. The Japanese figured this out centuries ago, and modern science is finally catching up to what they were doing. What researchers are now finding makes most of the supplements sitting in your cabinet look like expensive placebos. The global supplement industry is worth $177 billion a year. The Japanese practice that outperforms most of it costs absolutely nothing. This is the science behind why a walk through certain kinds of gardens and forests does more for your body than a shopping cart full of capsules ever could. And by the end of this, you will understand exactly why that is, what compounds are responsible, and how to access them without spending a dime. It starts with something you cannot see, smell, or taste in any obvious way, but your immune system responds to it immediately. Trees and plants release invisible antimicrobial compounds called phytoncides. These are volatile organic chemicals, things like alpha-pinene, beta-pinene, limonene, and D-limonene that trees produce to protect themselves from insects and disease. They drift through the air in forests and dense gardens, and when you breathe them in, your body reacts as though you just took an immune-boosting supplement, except it works better than any supplement on the market. Dr. Ching Li at Nippon Medical School in Tokyo ran one of the most important studies on this. He took subjects on a 3-day forest trip and measured their immune markers before and after. What he found was striking. Natural killer cell activity increased by approximately 50%. NK cells are your body's front-line defense. They are the cells that hunt down and destroy virus-infected cells and tumor cells. They are one of the most critical components of your immune system, and a walk through the trees supercharged them. But here is the part that no supplement company wants you to hear. That immune boost lasted for more than 30 days after the trip. One visit. Over a month of elevated immune function. There is not a single supplement on the market that delivers a single dose, month-long immune enhancement like that. Dr. Li's conclusion was simple. A forest trip once a month could keep NK cell activity permanently elevated. Japanese gardens dense with pines, cypress, and cedar are concentrated phytoncide environments. These compounds were detected in measurable quantities in forest air, but were almost entirely absent in city air. Urban living literally starves you of them. Every day you spend surrounded by concrete and glass is a day your immune system misses a signal it evolved to receive. But phytoncides are only the beginning of what is happening in these gardens, and the next mechanism might be even more surprising. The moss, soil, and earth that carpet traditional Japanese gardens contain a bacterium called Mycobacterium vaccae. It lives in dirt, and it acts like a natural antidepressant. Researchers at the University of Colorado Boulder discovered that vaccae activates serotonin-producing neurons in the dorsal raphe nucleus of the brain. That is the exact same target that pharmaceutical antidepressants like Prozac and Zoloft aim for. The same neural pathway, the same neurotransmitter. But vaccae works through a completely different biochemical mechanism, and it comes with none of the side effects. No weight gain, no emotional blunting, no withdrawal symptoms. A 2020 study published in Brain, Behavior, and Immunity went further. It showed that vaccae stabilizes the gut microbiome and promotes resilience to chronic psychosocial stress. That matters more than it might sound, because approximately 90% of your body's serotonin is manufactured in the gut, not the brain. Soil microbe exposure trains your gut bacteria to produce more of it. The Japanese practice of tending moss gardens, hands in the earth, kneeling on stone, is direct microbial exposure. You cannot replicate this with a probiotic capsule. The bacteria in commercial probiotics are a narrow selection of strains chosen for shelf stability, not for the kind of broad-spectrum microbial interaction your body gets from actual soil contact. Now layer on what is happening to your brain through your nose while all of this is going on. Japanese garden plants like hinoki cypress, Japanese cedar, pine, and camphor release terpenes. These are aromatic compounds that interact directly with receptors in your brain. Pinene, one of the most common, is anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antifungal, and opens your airways for better respiratory health. Limonene elevates mood, reduces stress, and shows antidepressant-like effects in research models. Linalool, released by garden lavender and certain herbs, is sedative and calming, reducing anxiety measurably. These are not vague aromatherapy claims. These terpenes interact with neurotransmitter systems, including dopamine and serotonin. They literally change your brain chemistry through your nose. Dr. Lee's research estimated that 50% of the health benefits of forest bathing come from the chemistry of the AIR itself, not the exercise, not the scenery, the AIR. And here is the problem for the supplement industry. You cannot bottle forest air. You cannot isolate the simultaneous interaction of dozens of terpenes hitting your olfactory receptors in real time at the concentrations and ratios that nature produces them. A capsule gives you one isolated compound. A garden gives you a symphony. But there is another invisible force at work in these spaces, and this one is literally electric. Japanese gardens with water features, streams, small waterfalls, and traditional rain chains called kusari-doi generate negative air ions through something called the Leonard effect. When water collides with surfaces, it creates electrically charged air molecules. Waterfalls produce up to 100,000 negative ions per cubic centimeter. Forests generate around 3,000 and significantly more after rain. Indoor air contains nearly zero. Research links negative ion exposure to lower cortisol levels and improved mood. When cortisol drops, serotonin's positive effects are amplified because cortisol actively suppresses serotonin function. Some studies have shown improvements in seasonal affective disorder from negative ion exposure. Now, to be fair, the negative ion research is more mixed than the Phytoncide data. Some studies show no significant effect on serotonin concentration directly, but the cortisol reduction findings are consistent across multiple studies, and cortisol reduction alone has cascading benefits throughout every system in your body. There is still another layer to this, and it involves something as simple as taking off your shoes. Walking barefoot on moss, stone, and damp earth in a garden transfers free electrons from the ground into your body. These electrons act as natural antioxidants. They neutralize free radicals, which is the same thing supplement companies charge you $40 a bottle to address with their antioxidant blends. A pilot study on grounding found that it normalized cortisol circadian rhythms, with nighttime cortisol dropping significantly, which led directly to better sleep. Published research in the Journal of Inflammation Research described grounding as a potential universal anti-inflammatory remedy. Japanese garden visitors traditionally remove their shoes or wear thin-soled sandals, an unintentional grounding practice that predates the science explaining it by centuries. They did not know why it worked. They just knew the garden felt different when you were close to the earth. And then there is the design of the garden itself, which is doing something to your nervous system that no adaptogen stack can replicate. Japanese gardens are built on the philosophy of wabi-sabi, the embrace of imperfection and impermanence. The asymmetry of stone placement, the use of aged and weathered materials, the negative space the Japanese call MA, the seasonal change that is deliberately incorporated into every element of the design. None of this is accidental. It is architectural psychology. The irregularity and organic flow of a Japanese garden induces a measurable shift toward parasympathetic nervous system dominance. That is rest and digest mode. Your cortisol drops, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure falls, your digestion improves, your immune system activates. This is not vague philosophy or spiritual hand-waving. It is a full-body nervous system reset triggered by a designed environment. So now step back and look at what a single visit to a Japanese garden is actually delivering to your body. At least 6 simultaneous biological interventions. Phytoncides, boosting your immune system and elevating natural killer cell activity for over a month. Soil microbes activating serotonin production through pathways that pharmaceutical antidepressants cannot reach. terpenes altering your brain chemistry through your respiratory system, reducing inflammation and elevating mood. Negative ions, lowering cortisol, and amplifying the effects of every other mechanism on this list. Grounding providing free-electron antioxidant activity and normalizing your sleep cycle. And contemplative design shifting your entire nervous system into parasympathetic mode. These do not just add up, they multiply. They work synergistically. Cortisol reduction amplifies NK cell activity. Serotonin production improves sleep quality. Better sleep enhances immune function. Immune function reduces systemic inflammation. Lower inflammation improves mood. It is a feedback loop, and it is the reason a garden outperforms a supplement shelf. Supplements isolate one compound at a time and deliver it through one pathway. A garden delivers a cocktail of compounds your body evolved to receive through multiple pathways simultaneously, and it does it for free. The supplement industry is built on the premise that your body is deficient and needs to be corrected with manufactured compounds. But what if the real deficiency is environmental? What if your body is not broken? It is just starved of the inputs it was designed to run on. $177 billion a year flows into an industry that is trying to replicate one isolated molecule at a time what a forest gives you all at once just for showing up. And you do not need a Japanese garden to access this. A walk in a pine or cedar forest activates the phytoncide and terpene pathways. Putting your hands in garden soil exposes you to Mycobacterium vaccae. 20 minutes in any green space with running water gives you negative ions and the nervous system shift. Walking barefoot on grass or earth gives you grounding. Dr. Lee's research suggests that even one forest visit per month is enough to maintain elevated immune function year-round. The Japanese did not have the vocabulary of immunology or neuroscience when they built these gardens. They did not know about natural killer cells or the dorsal raphe nucleus or the Leonard effect. They simply observed, over centuries, that people who spent time in these spaces lived differently. They were calmer, healthier, more resilient. The science has arrived late to a conclusion the gardens reached a long time ago. Your body knows what to do. It just needs you to step outside and let it. If you have access to any green space, even a small garden, a park with old trees, or a trail through the woods, the pharmacy is already open. You just have to walk in.